Hello and welcome to It's Not That Bad, optimistic movie reviews for optimistic people. That's Simone LaRue.
And that's Chad Ekowitz.
And this week we're diving straight into terrible film town. I'm so excited. How about you, Simone?
I'm super excited about this episode because I was very entertained watching both movies, but for very different reasons.
I think this episode really explains the sort of vitality and versatility of different movies, and I think that's really important in a modern era where TV is so good. We're blessed, Simone.
We truly are.
We are, as the kids say, hashtag too blessed to be stressed.
And yet, how stressed are we?
And bold of us to assume that we're not stressed. So, Simone, what are you doing this week for the people? Just remind everyone.
So this week, I'm going to talk about Ready Player One, which didn't do that bad critically, but I don't know a single person who loved the movie.
No. And I don't know anyone who would want to watch this movie, to be honest.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about it.
Yeah, exactly. And I am doing the 2016 High Strung, which no one has ever heard of, ever. And I think they should have.
Yeah.
Really, I do. I think, yeah. But we'll get into that as well. So, Simone, tell us what you're drinking.
Water. Because I was at the shops just now, I meant to buy wine, but wine sales only open at 11 on Sundays here. So...
Oh.
Yeah.
That's good, though. At least, it gives you time to go to church, and then you can drink. That's nice.
That's true. So I'll have to go back and buy later, because I want to have wine this evening.
That's fair. That's fair.
I thought about just being, late to this podcast recording and being sorry, I had to wait to buy wine, and then I was that's crazy. So...
Yeah. That's bordering on problematic.
Yeah, you'd be like, oh, are you okay?
Do we need to have an intervention?
And what are you drinking?
I am drinking Coke this morning, purely because I am working today, first of all, and I am also ill, and I really don't feel like drinking for those two reasons. So if my voice sounds a little bit sexier, a little bit huskier, that's why. I'm hoping that I won't have to, sort of cough during the podcast, because no one wants to hear that. And if I have to, we'll edit it out using the power of Audacity.
Yes.
Right, so I guess I win just purely on the basis that I have something flavoured.
Yeah, why not?
I mean, but, alternatively, you could win because of the basis that, Jesus, our Lord and Saviour, turned water into wine, and so technically you're closer to alcohol.
I like that you call him our Lord and Savior, and not just, mine.
Well, he's one of us. He's a Jew.
That's true.
So, we have that connection. He comes to all the used car dealership meetings and, eats latkes and bagels.
To be fair, latkes and bagels are delicious. Everybody eats
That's
them
true.
for that exact reason.
I mean, cream cheese and salmon on a bagel? Forget about it.
Delicious. Perfect meal. That's literally what I had for breakfast yesterday.
It's the dream. I mean, yeah. So okay, I'll go first purely because I think we're going to spend a lot of time talking about Ready Player One.
Yeah.
Because of its amazingness and perfect plot, pace, everything.
Good God.
Good God. So let's talk High Strung, shall we? Where's my plot synopsis? There you are. Alright, here we go, everyone. Ruby, played by Keenan Kemper, is just your average gal who moves to New York to attend the Manhattan Conservatory of Arts. She's an amazing ballet dancer, which has allowed her to attend the MCA on a full scholarship, but she's really crap at contemporary. Her teachers push her really hard because they see so much talent in her. At the school, she meets Kyle, played by Richard Southgate, who's a violinist and a bit of a prick. He's kind of interested in Ruby and invites her to watch him play at a gala. Before this, Ruby goes to ride the subway and witnesses one of those team dance battles that NYC is famously known for. While the battle is going on, a young, hot violinist dressed all in black who has been busking that day in the same subway joins in the battle as a backup musician. A scuffle breaks out, and some guy steals the hot violinist's violin. Ruby takes it upon herself to help him find it. This guy is named Johnny, played by Nicholas Galazzini. And he is living in New York illegally. He's British, which makes him even hotter. He doesn't have a green card nor a visa, so calling the cops to help him find his violin is not an option. Johnny then finds that the lawyer who was helping him get his green card was a liar and conned Johnny out of $2,000. On top of this, his landlord wants to evict him because of late payment of the rent, so he's not having a really great day. He then meets his downstairs neighbors, who are one of those dance teams that NYC is famous for. They help him out by getting him a job as a waiter. As fate would have it, Johnny's first job is at the gala that Kyle invited Ruby to. Kyle and Johnny have a dick measuring contest with their violin, and Johnny loses by tripping. As everyone knows, that's how you lose in a violin battle.
Yes.
I mean, it's just the standard violin losing.
It's all about agility.
So then Ruby then suggests that Johnny enters the convenient dance and strings competition. This is a competition that, as you can probably guess, combines dance with stringed instruments. It's very, very convenient for the plot.
That's usually such an uncommon combination, so that's interesting.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just a really good idea that the MCA is putting this on. So if Johnny wins, he will receive $25,000 and a scholarship to MCA, which means he can get a student visa and stay in the country. He agrees to this. Kyle hears about this and enters the competition with Ruby's sort of enemy, April, played by Annabelle Couttet. Ruby is also called into the office at the school because they're putting her on suspension because she isn't improving in contemporary fast enough. There's a montage where they're all practicing, and Ruby and Johnny fall in love even more. It's the night of the competition. They're all getting ready when Johnny is picked up by the authorities. It looks like he's going to be deported, and worse, missed the competition. Luckily, the authorities don't actually want him. They want to catch the fucker who took Johnny's money. So Johnny agrees and tells them that he has to go super quickly. He arrives just in the nick of time for the competition. They perform spectacularly, and Johnny wins the competition. Woo! The end. Ruby's teachers are also super impressed because her contemporary dance has improved so much. Now that's the end. High Strung.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun watching this movie.
Yeah.
It's very entertaining. It's just about cool choreography and interesting music. They're like, don't worry too much about the characters. It doesn't matter. And that's fine.
Yeah, I feel like it's on the same level as like Step Up.
Yeah.
And Step Up 2 and Step Up 3 and Step Up 4 The Streets.
Yeah.
It's just your typical dance movie with hot teens doing hot teen things.
Yeah.
And that's what's delightful about it. And I don't understand why it didn't get sort of a wider spread.
Yeah, I don't know either. I think also because the girl who plays Ruby is a professional ballerina. That's what it looked like, because I was like, oh, what else is she in? And it was like the Swan Lake 3D. So I was like, oh, she's like actually a ballet dancer. So like that's really cool. And I thought all the acting was good. I thought the characters were all really fun and likable, and you cared about them all. It was nice.
Yeah, it was a really, really fun movie to enjoy, to watch. I mean, just, like, I love violin. I'm very slowly learning to play the violin. And it was just lovely to see them try and make violining cool again, which was really, really fun. I mean, the reason I heard about this movie is it came up on my Facebook feed. Someone like in my feed watches these guys called Two Sets, and it's two professional violinists who just rip into violin movies and things. And so they were ripping into this movie because obviously the choreography and where people put their fingers and how they move along, the strings and everything is not great. But regardless of that, I mean, like, no one's really watching it and going, he hit the G string instead of the E string there. And that was clearly an E.
Yeah, I didn't care. There were some times where I was like, the bow's movements are not matching the music. But, like, the choreography was really fucking cool. So who cares?
Yeah.
I guess violinists care.
But yeah, I mean, it was just really fun. I think that my only problem with it was the dialogue could be a bit stinted in places. Like, with Ruby's roommate, it was sort of just like, their dialogue was a bit weird. Also, I would now be using sexy fierce as a regular phrase.
Look, in all fairness to them, he was sexy fierce.
He's a gorgeous man.
He's so beautiful. Like, what the fuck is he doing? He could literally just get, like, a modeling contract and be fine.
Yeah, it makes no sense that he would be busking. Like, I know in the beginning he comes across like that's the point of his character. He's like, he thinks he's holier than everyone else. But he is there illegally. Like, just find a job, dude.
Yeah, and, like, modeling agencies will handle it.
Yeah, for reals. Like, He is gorgeous. He can play the violin. He works out so much. I thought that was the funniest bit, is the montages with him working out.
Oh, and he's just boxing
Yeah.
because he's from the UK.
And everyone knows you box every day in the UK.
Don't you?
Well, it's actually standard, and it's a new rule that they brought in. Every house has to have a punching bag.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. We have specific guys that they're called the bugalists who come around and check. They like, cheerio, governor. Where is your punching bag?
And you're like, oh, right this way, my good sir. I was giving it a lively punching this morning.
Did you use the Oxford rules or the Cambridge rules?
Trick question. Everybody knows Cambridge is the only way. I lost it there. I lost that accent. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I appreciated the commitment to the bit more than the accents.
Thanks.
I think
Thanks.
the effort.
I hope our audience does too.
As we see with a lot of these actors who we've reviewed, it's all about the effort more than the actual ability to act.
I don't know. I think it might be about the ability to act.
I don't know. Look at Taylor Lautner. He's somehow made a career.
Well, look at fucking Nick Cage.
Oh, okay, yeah, fair enough. But then again, I mean, Nick Cage.
Yeah.
It's like, I think Nick Cage is the ambergris of human beings. Like, no one understands why fossilized whale vomit is a thing, but yet it is, and it's really expensive.
I did not know that. That is a fact I'm just learning.
Strangely enough, I learned that from Bob's Burgers, which just goes to show that in our modern era, even the dumbest shows can teach us something. Yeah,
Sometimes only the dumbest shows teach us something these days.
That is true. Yeah, ambergris is fossilized. For our listeners who don't know, ambergris is fossilized whale vomit, and it can sell for a lot of money because it's got like this really odd smell. Like, to some people, it's like really, really pungent, but it still smells amazing. Like, you can't get enough of it. It's one of those smells where you have to just keep smelling it. So they put it in like perfumes and things like that, and it's really expensive because it's fossilized whale vomit. So it's really hard to come by.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, I love how you say for our listeners as though you're not explaining it to me at the same time.
So yeah, I mean, what else can we really say about this movie? I think it's definitely one that I will watch when I'm feeling down again. Like, this is definitely a film I would definitely very easily watch again.
Yeah. It's a pretty feel-good film.
Yeah.
I do always think it's so unnecessary, like, at the beginning of movies when, like, the guy's, like, introducing his crew, and he's like, oh, that's this guy. He's, like, great at freestyling, and that's this girl. Like, she's really sweet. But it's, like, none of those characters have any dialogue, so it truly doesn't matter.
I didn't understand that, like, why is dancing such a big thing in New York? Like, that there's just battles on subways, and everyone's just like, they're the scary Death Eater crew. Like, who cares?
And then also I was like, wait, so was there really no construction happening on that platform? It was all just a bit? Are they like, did they get permits to do performance art at that station?
Yeah.
Like, what is it, the story here? And then the police chase them away. And I'm like, is there like a whole police task force to stop people from dancing in the streets?
Yeah, is this Footloose, but in New York? It makes very little sense. And then why do you have an evil dance crew? Like, it's dancing. It's the most delightful
sport. It doesn't matter. They literally never make another appearance.
I really enjoyed that scene in the beginning where they, like, go over to the dude's house for practice, in inverted commas, but none of them ever make a mistake. Ever. Like, all of them are perfect.
That's the thing with the whole movie, is, like, they're all, like, practicing, like, even when she's at the dance school, they're just practicing, and the teacher, like, shits on her on the first day for her not, like, nailing the choreography to a style of dance that she's, like, never done before. And I was like, I'm, like, 90% sure this isn't how dance school works.
Yeah, I mean, you are, as a dancer, supposed to pick it up pretty quickly, but first day? Really?
Yeah. And, like, aren't they going to do some warm-up exercises and, like, stuff like that? I don't understand the point of going straight into random choreography.
Yeah, it makes very little sense that everyone has to be a perfect dancer straight away. I really
That's
don't understand.
That's the point of going to dance school.
Exactly. And then I love the fact that it's just like, oh, don't be late. Lateness won't be excused. Excuse me, they're university students. It's a fucking miracle if they even pitch.
I don't know. I guess if there's, like, mandatory classes or something, I know, like, well, my old roommate was a dancer, and she had mandatory dance classes and practice sessions that she had to go to.
Oh, right, okay.
Which, like, makes sense, but your lecturers are also, by that point, you're all close to the same age, so your lecturers are usually pretty cool.
Yeah. Like, I understand that it's, like, a really sort of up there dance school, and that, like, they really take it very seriously,
Yeah.
clearly. But, that seems a bit far-fetched. That, like... And then her roommate is late anyway, and there doesn't really seem to be anything done about it.
No.
They're just like...
So, clearly, lateness is kind of tolerated.
Yeah, exactly. Also, the fact that she gets put on suspension or whatever, or review, like, there was no warning or anything. It was just sort of like,
Yeah.
It was like, okay, well, we don't think you're doing well enough, so you're on review now.
And what if she was like, well, I don't even fucking want to be a contemporary dancer. I clearly stated that I just want to do ballet.
And she's trying. Bless her soul, she's trying.
She's trying so hard.
And contemporary is not easy if you're a ballet dancer. Like,
Mm-mm.
they're very different styles. Very different styles.
Very.
Like, they couldn't be more far apart. But that's
And
fine.
you'd think that they would take that into account and be like, hey, listen, like, you know, you've never done this before. It'll take a while to pick up. They're just like, how dare you not understand the moves implicitly?
Yeah, and why even give her a full scholarship then? Just don't do it. Like, what? Give it to someone who can do ballet and contemporary.
If that's what you want, yeah.
What are you doing? What are you doing? I did enjoy the subplot with the roommate and her drug boyfriend guy.
Except there's not really, like, an end to it. That was going to be my scene that could have saved it. It was like, she just gives her a pep talk. She's like, hey, you have to come to class. And she's like, okay. And then it seems like now it's fine?
I guess, I mean, clearly, you know, Ruby is just really good at speeches and can convince
True.
her roommate to break up with her really poisonous boyfriend and get her shit back together.
But she doesn't even say she's going to do that. All she does is come to class. Like, we don't know what her plan is.
It's fine. She's a B-plot. Who cares about her? We do. We do care about her.
I wanted to know.
Yeah. No, it's not. It's.
Maybe she meets one of the dancers on the crew and, like, falls in love. That would have been really cool.
Oh, that would have been cute. That would have been really nice.
That's what I want.
That would have been really nice. Like, that poisonous boyfriend situation. Like, I love that dance in the Irish pub. That was fucking ace.
Where they hijack the river dancing
Yes.
performance. They're like, no, fuck you and your traditional river dancing. We're just gonna do the classic dance from Swan Lake, but, like, set to a spunkier
Yeah,
tune.
it makes no sense. I also, like, I think that's the one thing that really bugged me about the movie is just the fact that dancing is such a big deal in terms of competition. Like, no one just does it for
Yeah.
fun. Like, the one lady even just goes, we'll smoke these Irish river dancers. It's like, they're just having fun. Like, they're just dancing for a laugh.
It's their job. Like, and also, like, is it normal then to just hijack people's performances like he does at the gala thing? Like, he just takes the violin and starts playing and everybody's like, what the fuck is happening? Like, and the police always show up at the very end of the performance anyway.
I've heard that police in NYC are really
It's a courtesy.
are really courteous. Like, they're just really nice
Yeah.
about it. They're just like, wait, okay, now we can go.
He's proven himself. Go, go, go. I just, like, I think what bothered me the most in this movie was just, like, how dick everyone is hijacking everybody else's performances.
Yeah, and the waiters as well during that scene who just decide to dance. Like, what? They're not here for you, dude.
Go and serve the shrimp cocktail.
What are you doing? This is how you get fired. So that's your scene that could have saved it. So I guess we'll move on and I'll do mine quickly.
Okay.
So I really felt that there was no plot development with the rivalry between Ruby and April.
Yeah.
Like, I would have, like, clearly April is a bitch and just, like, really high strung. Hey, that's what the title of the movie is. What? That's where it comes
Crazy.
from. Nuts. Because it's like a play on words, because they're violins,
Mhm.
and violins are also high strung.
Oh.
And for our listeners who didn't get that, so yeah, she's sort of like, and then she just immediately doesn't take to Ruby at all for no reason whatsoever. And I just would have really liked to see some development there. Maybe, like, at the end of the competition, April's like, I respect you now. We can
Yeah.
be friends.
Like, are we still doing jealous girl rivalries in movies? Is that still a thing that we're doing? Like, where for no reason a girl is just really mean to the protagonist?
I mean, you say this, but we're going to move on to the definition of Pixie Dream Girl in your film in a
Oh,
second, and that's a
Lord,
movie that came out
sure.
last year. So ancient female movie tropes are still, unfortunately, very alive. It is the pure definition of flogging a dead horse, which were really exciting, which is horrible. But yes, so I feel like that plot needed to be developed more because it was kind of just there and then gone. Like, I didn't really care about their rivalry.
Yeah.
Especially, it would have just been nice to like see like a really nice anti-bullying message. Just be like, you're grown-ups, stop this.
Just like, we're all here to fucking dance. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, and we're in the best city in the world.
Yeah.
There are dancers in the street. It's impressive. It's David Bowie's dream.
But overall, I found this movie really enjoyable, and I'm glad that I watched it.
Yeah, and I will be telling people about this film. Be like, forget Step Up, forget Step Up 2, forget Step Up 3, forget Step Up for the streets, and watch High Strung. So let's move on then. Bad film, bad director.
Yes.
We've got Michael Damian here, which, before I get into him, giggity, so he was a star... Sorry, was that not a good joke?
I wasn't going to say anything.
Well, I mean, our listeners couldn't see your face, but I could see the shame spiral.
Just,
Are we not done with these jokes?
I guess we're not.
So he was on The Young and the Restless as Danny Ramalotti from 1984 to 2013. So that's a long TV career. And if you ever watch The Young and the Restless, you'll recognize him. And I used to watch Young and the Restless. My mum and I used to watch soaps all the time.
That's
so I know. It's a family thing. And so, you know, he's a really decent actor in that respect. And just the point I wanted to make was the redheaded contemporary teacher / jazz teacher. She was in Young and the Restless with him.
Oh.
And so yeah, they've been lifelong friends.
That's cool.
From Young and the Restless, which is really nice. Now, personally, I don't know many of these films, so if you do recognize any of them, let me know. Finders Keeper, but the short, Red Eye, the TV movie, Hot Tamale, Moondance Alexander, Flicker 2, Marley and Me, The Puppy Years, The Princess, A Princess for Christmas, Flicker, Country Pride, The Sweeter Side of Life, Love by Design, High Strung, and Freedance.
I don't know. I know what Red Eye is. That's a very different movie to all those others.
Very, very different. But what I would say is, you know, this movie wasn't badly directed.
No.
I think it was, like, the pacing was really good, the acting was really good. I mean, it can't be easy directing a movie that is purely about dance and music. So I give him props for this. I think he's a good director, and I don't think this is a bad film either.
Yeah.
I think this is just a film that got swept under the rug for some reason, and it really should not have been.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So thank you.
It's a really pleasant
So that is
note.
High Strung.
Hmm.
Yeah. I think we're getting into what this podcast is about, and it's just the pleasantness.
Yeah.
We're just the pleasant people.
We sure are, and we're about to trash that reputation.
Yes, we are. So tell me, Ready Player One.
Boy.
So excited. I'm glad we finally watched this.
Yeah. I just want to...
steaming garbage fire.
Before we get into this, if you're new to the podcast, when Chad and I first started recording this podcast, we were reading the book, and we hated it. So even though this movie didn't do too badly critically, I also don't know anyone who liked it, including fans of the book. And also, we didn't really enjoy the book, and so that's why it's included on this podcast, because we want to talk about it.
Yeah, I think, you know, get ready for another hour of us just, you know, telling you why this is just a shit show. And, you know, usually we say, you know, you're entitled to your opinion and things, but
I mean,
no.
You are, but sometimes you're wrong.
Yeah, opinions aren't fact. But this is a fact that your opinion is wrong. Wordplay! Please, save me with your plot summary.
Okay. Are you ready? So, Ready Player One takes place in the not-too-distant future of 2045. Yes.
Already, I hate this.
The world is basically fucked. Everything's super polluted. Everything's overpopulated. Corporations run everything, and everybody's miserable. But luckily, they have the Oasis, a giant virtual world that they can escape to using VR goggles and gloves, and sometimes entire suits. And people spend basically all day in the Oasis every day. They basically just go out to, like, you know, do stuff that their body needs.
pretty much.
With that, we come upon our hero, Wade, or, as he's known in the Oasis, Parzival,
Hero.
played by Ty Sheridan. Wade is something known as a gunter. Well, what?
It's just all awful.
Look, we've got to get through it.
All right. I will reserve everything.
Thank you.
Just because this is hard enough for you.
Yeah,
Without having
it
to.
truly is.
Yeah. Okay. I'll power down for the next 4 minutes.
Thanks. Okay. Wade is what is known as a gunter, or egg hunter. And you might be asking, why are people looking for an Easter egg in this giant, giant world where you can literally do everything? Well, the game's creator, Halliday, played by Mark Rylance, when he died, created a video basically saying that he's hidden an Easter egg somewhere in the game. And when somebody finds it, they get they get all of his shares, which is half the company. So they basically get to run the Oasis. Evidently, he did not consult his co-creator, Ogden Morrow, played by Simon Pegg, but we're just gonna gloss over that.
That's how businesses are run, really, clearly.
So to find the egg, players basically need to find a series of keys that unlock gates and get them to the next clue. They follow that clue to the next key and so on. The final key should unlock the door to the egg. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, no, that's 100% right. Yeah.
In order to solve the clues, Gunters make sure that they are up to date on all possible knowledge around Halliday. This includes his childhood, his early career, and his later life, as well as his interests, which include everything from the 80s. And nothing after that.
Yep. Everything from the 80s.
We start off following Parzival and his best friend H, played by Lena Waithe. Oh, it's a surprise, because you think H is a boy the whole time, but at the end it's revealed that she's a black woman and a lesbian.
Yeah.
So it really neatly ticks off all the minority boxes.
Just straight away in one character.
Mm-hmm.
And it just goes to show you, don't trust a book by its cover. Anyone could be cool. Even the nerd who you bullied in high school is the general message, and I hate this so much.
Let's just not. We'll get into it. Let me just finish this. But as far as we know throughout the movie, H is a dude.
Cool.
So we start off with the two of them competing in a race, which everybody knows will lead to the first key. Nobody can win the race, which is a giant car race through New York City, complete with Godzilla and, King Kong. That one.
Yeah.
While browsing through archives again, and after a chance encounter with his giant crush Artemis, played by Olivia Cooke, Parzival stumbles on... I'm just going to call him Parzival, because I guess that's what he'd prefer.
Yeah. That's what he'd prefer.
Parzival stumbles on an old recording of Halliday that hints that it actually, in order to win, or what Halliday wanted to do, you have to go backwards. Parzival does this, gets the first key, nails it. Now he's trying to figure out how to solve the second clue. After he wins, H and Artemis figure out how he did it pretty quickly, as do people from IOI. IOI is the Oasis's biggest gaming competitor, and they want to gain control of the Oasis so that they can add more tiers to it, put more ads on it, and basically make more money out of it. The head guy of what is called the Sixers, or the people trying to, beat out other people in the game to find the egg, is Sorrento, played by Ben Mendelsohn. Sorrento basically tries to thwart Parzival, H, and Artemis at every turn, even going so far as to find Wade in the real world, or Parzival in the real world, and blow up his house and whole family. It's okay. This doesn't bother Wade that much.
Not even a little bit. I think he should
Not
one
even
tier.
a little bit. So, Parzival, Artemis, and H also team up with Sho and Daito, two dudes from Japan, played by Philip Zhao and Win Marasaki, respectively. They don't really matter at all to the plot, so I'm not gonna go into it. The next clue is going into the movie The Shining to basically find the woman that Halliday is sad he never kissed.
Okay.
And then ask her to dance, and that's how you get to the next key. After that, we know that the final key... is at a castle, but Sorrento has blocked off all of the entrances to it, while everybody else tries to figure out how to solve the riddle to get to the last key. While the Sixers are doing that, all of Wade and, Parzival, Artemis, and H, and Sho and Daito all meet each other in real life as they realize that Sorrento is sending people after them in real life as well. they hide out and basically are eventually driving around in a postal van while playing so that they can escape the assassins. I'm sorry, I know this is not very coherent. I'm aware.
But neither is the film.
Okay.
You're doing really well. For such a fucked up film, you're doing so very well.
In that time also, Artemis is captured and she's taken to work in indentured servitude at IOI, which is the same fate that her father had before he died. Oh, and then also there's, like, kind of a relationship between Artemis and Parzival, but it's really sad, and she's basically like, you don't fucking know me. But anyway, when she meets him in real life, she's like, oh my god, you do know me, and then they kiss very quickly.
Yep. Because that's relationships. Yep.
In the end, everybody in the Oasis comes together to defeat Sorrento and the Sixers, take down the portal, and after the portal's taken down, Sorrento detonates a bomb that kills every single player on the planet. Fortunately, Parzival has a quarter that he won by making a bet with one of the butlers at the archive. This butler is later revealed to be Ogden Morrow. So, Parzival's the only one who can go through and try to win the game Adventure. Then he realizes you shouldn't win the game Adventure. Instead, what you need to do is play it until you find the Easter egg. It's the first Easter egg in gaming history. He finds the Easter egg, Halliday's avatar Anorak comes down, and basically Wade wins, but he also gets a whole speech about how sad Halliday was that he wasn't, like, in the real world as much. So, basically.
It's watching the hope and joy of life leave your eyes throughout this whole plot synopsis.
Wade now has control of the Oasis, but having learned his lesson from Halliday, he shuts down the Oasis every Tuesday and Thursday so that people actually have to go into the real world. He and Artemis live together, and everybody's happy. Nobody cares what happens to H and Sho and Daito. They, like, win some prize money as well, whatever.
It's so irritating. I hate this film.
Yeah.
Trying to salvage what this podcast is about. There's one joke that I laughed really hard at in this whole film.
What joke is that?
When Sorrento, at sort of the very start, goes, we can cover up 80% of the screen with ads before people start to have seizures, was one of the funniest things I've ever heard in my life.
It sounds like a Jack Donaghy thing from 30 Rock.
Yeah, definitely. And it's just really funny, especially because, like, the more I listen to Spotify, because I don't have Spotify Premium, or the more I'm on Instagram, it's like one of my pictures and then 3 ads, and then another picture on my Instagram feed, and then it's one song and then 6 ads, and then another song on Spotify. And it's just really amusing because that is exactly what's happening. And I think that's really funny that Sorrento is like 80% of the visors before seizures. And that's just how the world is going with advertising, and it's fuck off annoying, but it's really, really true.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was a genuinely good joke.
Yeah. The only good joke in the whole thing.
I enjoyed the sequence where they're in The Shining.
Yeah.
I thought that whole thing was really fucking fun and cool, and, like, I think, like, if there were more scenes like that, I would have enjoyed it a lot more.
Yeah, I think, and that's the funny thing about it as well, is because the Shining sequence is a Stanley Kubrick thing. It's not even a Steven Spielberg / Ready Player One thing. That's how bad this movie is, that the only good thing about it came from another film completely.
Yeah.
So there you go. That is this film. I try so very hard to like the lead actor. What did you say his name was?
Oh, Ty Sheridan.
Ty Sheridan. I try so very hard to like him, but he keeps choosing bad films over and over again.
Wasn't he in Baby Driver?
I don't think he was he?
I'm pretty sure he was the dude. I'll check now. He was in Deadpool 2 as Cyclops, uncredited though.
Alright.
Oh, he was in Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse. I didn't realize that. Why did I think he was in Baby Driver?
That's Ansel Elgort.
They look exactly the same.
They do look very similar. I saw a picture there and I thought, okay, yeah, that's your guy.
Oh.
But,
yeah. Such
a good film, this Baby Driver. But, yes. So, like, I can't trust this guy in the movies he chooses to do. And I want to like him. I really do. I'm trying my hardest. But it's just really hard when you keep picking terrible films.
In all fairness, I truly think that all the people who picked up this film, including Steven Spielberg, thought that it would do really well.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, no other director could have done this with as much sincerity. as
No.
Steven Spielberg, because Steven Spielberg, very much like the author of the book that this film is based on, is very deeply entrenched in nostalgia and thinking
Yeah.
the world was a much better place back in the 80s.
That is true. Do you want to tell me why you think this film fell flat? And you can bring the book into it too.
Yeah, I feel like, and I mean, this is part of my scene that could have saved it, but like the fact that the film is not very much like the book at all is very sad.
Which is like a bold move, considering the whole book is about like being a fanboy.
Exactly, and then to just go and completely change it. Like, none of the challenges are pretty much the same as the book.
No, they're
like,
completely
they're very different. I think it fell flat just because everything about the film that related to the book was sort of tarnished in some way. Like, they didn't even call them Daito and Shoto. Like, they're brothers in the book, and his name is Shoto, not Sho. Like, what was the purpose of that? Why did you have to shorten the name? They're called the High Five because they are the 5 high scorers. That's never really explained. It's just mentioned that they're a team and they're called the High Five, and it's sort of like brushed upon. Like, the whole coin thing, it's not a major part of the book, but like it is relatively important because, you know, of what happens. And then like there's just so many aspects to the book which sort of round it out, which were taken away from this film and doesn't round it out nicely.
Yeah.
Like, I know that you have to take out stuff in a book to make a film, but it's not a particularly long book.
No. And on top of that, like, I think it also then misses out the fact that, like, Wade is obsessed with getting the egg. Like, they really don't go into that. They're just like, oh, it's kind of something that he's interested in. But, like, no, he obsessively, to his own detriment, like, watches 80s TV shows and movies over and over and over again and listens to 80s albums over and over and over again. And they don't really go into that. They really don't go into, like, how obsessed he and the other Gunters, like, are with it. Like, there's that super cringy scene at the beginning where Artemis, like, quizzes him on Halliday's likes and dislike, and like it was fucking cringy in the book as well. It's just like how these people truly are so proud of their knowledge about this one man's life.
Yeah, it is really, really sad. And yeah, it kind of
And even like when he gets the quarter from the butler, if you're a treasure hunter, like that's a fucking clue.
Yeah.
He doesn't even look at it. He just pockets it.
Yeah. Like, it makes no sense. And also the fact that, like, people's voices, except for H's, are the same, usually, as they are in the real world as they are outside of the real world.
Yeah.
And so you can hear that it's Simon Pegg who is the butler. Yes, Ogden Morrow has an American accent, but the voice is the same. If I put on an accent, you still know it's me. If I was like, oh, hey, Simone, how are you doing today?
Yeah.
Like, you still know it's me. Like, you're not going to go, whoa, who was that?
On top of, like, so he does mention at the beginning that Artemis, like, writes a blog that, like, chronicles her gunting adventures and whatever. But then she's, like, genuinely surprised to find out that, like, that Halliday went on a date with Ogden Morrow's, like, would-be wife very early on. And it's like, but that's basic knowledge. So, like, my problem with this movie is it doesn't even explain its own character's actions or try to stay in character with stuff.
Yeah, it's so dumb. It's so dumb. And then, like, I think the main focus for them, and especially Spielberg, it would seem, was let us just pour all of our money into special effects so we can create this Oasis world, and then have, like, no real consistency or dialogue or plot development. Let's just pour our money into Candy Crush-like graphics of sparkly shit and big explosions and monsters from films that we liked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, in all fairness, that's basically what the book was like, too.
True. Okay, yeah, fair enough.
It was just a bunch of 80s references and very lazy dialogue and character development, if any.
That's true. If any. I think what I did like, and from the book into the film, is the film made Wade Wilson a little less of a pretentious asshole.
I mean, in all fairness, though, like, he didn't have any personality at all. Name one aspect of his personality that you got from the movie.
That is very true. Very
he says
much
that
like
he loves Artemis. He's met her in real life, well, like in the Oasis twice, and it is the most baffling scene in the world.
Yeah, that's true. And then you're 100% right. He has no personality. He kind of just is, and that's it.
And then she, like, falls in love with him when they meet in real life, and it's, like, baffling, because it's like, but you just yelled at him for not knowing you. You've kind of talked for, like, 3 minutes, and now it's cool?
Yeah. And then also, she's super worried about her facial birthmark. Like, I understand that people are very self-conscious about things for themselves. That's fine. But she's got to recognize that she's actually super cute.
Yeah,
like,
surely.
And how fucking cool and quirky that is.
I mean, because, like, it's not like it's, like, a real deformity. Like, that would be weird, Chad.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously. I mean, you can't have your lead female actually having something, of a deformity. That would be crazy.
How's he supposed to like her, then? Now it's just, like, cool because he's, like, seeing her for her.
Exactly. And, she just happens to be super pretty. And it's just this tiny little red blotch.
Yeah.
Obviously,
That's also, like, I guess, like, the point of a lot of the characters was to, like, make it diverse and not have, like, a classically beautiful love interest, even though she really was. But, like, the Asian characters were so stereotypical it was almost offensive. Mm-hmm. And they also, again, didn't contribute anything to the plot. And also, H was kind of just like, oh yeah, she's, like, black and a girl and a lesbian, but, like, it doesn't really matter. I mean, it was the same in the book, really. Yeah,
it really was. It's just sort of glossed over very quickly. Although, I did like to see that H was played by that lady from Dear White so People.
Funny. I love her.
That was absolutely fantastic, because I saw her face and I was like, hey, it's the lady from Dear White People who's on that horrible sitcom that they all watch.
I love her so much. She's so
funny.
So funny.
So good.
She's also in Master of None.
Oh, really? I need to start watching that, actually.
It's real good.
Now that I've finished all of Kimmy Schmidt.
But I was gonna say, like, I think the reason... I don't think they should have even made this movie, because the book hasn't aged very well. No. I think the author is from a time where the barrier to entry to be a gamer was really high still. So either you were rich and you could afford a console, or you really fucking prioritized saving up for games and gaming equipment and, like, even, like, tabletop games and comic books and stuff. It wasn't easily accessible. So if you liked that stuff back when he grew up, you were, like, a real nerd. And these days, it's also so accessible that, like, you're not really a nerd if you like gaming, you're just normal.
Yeah, 100%. There's nothing really nerdy anymore. Like, I would never...
No.
Like, we both love comic books.
Yeah.
And gaming and shit like that, and tabletop games and shit. But we also like to go on runs and hikes and shit.
Yeah.
Like,
it's like so normal. It's not like a part of anyone's identity anymore.
No.
And if it is, then, like, it's really not the majority. Like, anyone can play video games. It's not just for, like, kind of socially awkward white dudes, which is clearly how Ernest Cline felt.
Yeah, exactly. You're 100% right. It makes no sense to make this film now, because everyone is just sort of doing their own thing. Like, no one really cares anymore. Like, if you like Spider-Man, or if you like to play D&D, like, no one gives a shit. D&D is awesome. Spider-Man is awesome. I mean, for fuck's sakes, we've got so many superhero movies.
Yeah.
Like, this is not the world that Ernest Cline imagined it to be.
No, definitely not. I mean, and, like, it really... I think it brings out everything that I don't like about gaming, if anything. Like, this elitism and calling people posers. Like, at one point he makes fun of Sorrento because he has, like, nerds telling him the answers to stuff. But it's like... Yeah, this guy just didn't spend hours fucking, like, watching 80s movies. Like, he's busy winning at life and being successful. I'm not saying that gaming is bad. I'm just saying that, like, the lines that they draw are so arbitrary and ridiculous, and calling people posers.
Yeah, for reals. Like, it makes no sense whatsoever. I mean, Twitch, this game streaming service, brings in a shit ton of revenue every year. Esports makes over $1 billion every year. And guess who's behind it? Marketers like Sorrento, who are just banking on these things.
Yeah.
So Sorrento is just making bank. He saw an opportunity and he's just trying to make bank.
He doesn't give a shit if some, 18-year-old thinks he's a poser.
He's got 6 yachts in the real world.
Yeah. And then on top of that, I guess it might be my scene that could have saved it, but it just kind of, even the book kind of ignores the fact that it's really fucking sad that nobody wants to do anything to help the world anymore. They're all just chilling in the oasis. And, Artemis kind of mentions that her dad dies because he was in debt to IOI and they didn't get him medical care and stuff, which is fucked up, and they don't really go into it. And then she gets kidnapped by the same firm and has to work for them. And that's just never developed in the character at all. She's just like, oh, okay. And you're like, this is how your father was murdered.
It's sort of her and the lady from Gremlins have that in common. She tries to tell them. It's not
about me, though.
Yeah, it's not about me. It's about the main white guy.
It's about the love interest I have after I've spoken to him 5 times.
Exactly.
But, it completely glosses over. It's like, oh no, guys, gaming is really cool and fun. But it's it's glossing over the fact that, it's to the detriment of a lot of people's, health and well-being. And that's, the interesting part of the story. And they make it sound like Wade, really went through some character development, because by the end he shuts off the oasis twice a week, but that's only after he's gotten a girlfriend. So I don't know how much he's learned, or if he's just oh, I get to have sex twice a week.
And also the fact that he was told basically to do that as well. Anorak basically kind of just said to him, listen, we need to start living in the real world again. So like you said earlier, there's no character development. He's just being told what to do throughout the film.
And he's like, well, I guess. I mean, I've got this girlfriend now or whatever.
So it's fine. And I mean, I love her for all her imperfections,
Her one small facial mark.
Ridiculous. I think you're right in the fact that, it's a weird time to release this film in the way that they did. And I think this plays on sort of why Trump is president of America. This is a Trump episode now, y'all. In the fact that I think it put the focus on the wrong thing. It put the focus on gaming and how nerds are prosecuted and things, which is not the case. The book sort of had 2 themes, which was bullying of nerds needs to stop and holy crap, the world was a much better place in the 80s. Nostalgia is legit. And the film focuses on the nerd aspect and completely forgets about the nostalgia aspect. And I think in today's world where all these old white people are like, you remember the 60s and the 80s? How great was that?
Yeah.
This film would have worked better by pandering to them in the nostalgia aspects of it instead of focusing on the nerd aspects of it. I think this film would have done better in that respect if it had shifted the book's focus onto that.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, it really wasn't as 80s focused as the book.
Thank God.
But I think you're right. And I think also that does tie in with talking about, going back to the real world. Because in the book, the whole idea is, Halliday loves the 80s because that was, the happiest time of his life. That's when he had all of his friends in high school and the girl that he had a crush on. And they would just, hang out and play D&D and video games and stuff. And it would be interesting if maybe at the end of the book they go back to that. People are back to, tabletop gaming and, meeting up with each other in the real world and doing shit like that and, actually making human connections instead of meeting up in the oasis.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I completely agree. And I think that's an important message, is the fact that we can remember the old days for what they were and how great they were. But you have to keep living in the now. You can't... You miss out on so much by living in the past. And I mean, I can't believe I'm referencing the great Jack Parrow, a South African rap artist, if you can call him that. But he has a great song where he talks about sort of, he misses, Nesquik and, the Turtles and original Indiana Jones merch and things like that. But then there's a specific bridge where he says, I can't keep spending my time reminiscing about this because I miss so much of what's happening right now. And it's so true. Yeah. Every moment you spend missing the past, you're now missing something of your present. And we all need to stop doing that.
And also, it doesn't necessarily mean things are bad now. They're just different.
Exactly. a lot has actually improved, you know?
Yes.
I mean, there is a lot of shit, but there is also a lot that's so much better.
Well, you know, as opposed to the 80s, now we have much fewer gay men dying of AIDS that went untreated.
Thank God for that. It's also legal to be gay, which is...
that's fun.
You know, just a human decency thing. But we're not going to get into that. We won't
go down this rabbit hole.
So I feel like we've both said our scenes that could have saved it, but just sort of for clarification for the people, just go over yours again quickly and I'll do the same. Yeah,
so I would have probably enjoyed the movie much more, and it probably would have given more character development, which the movie desperately needed. If we had the characters take a moment of self-reflection, especially the main character, and like realize to themselves without being told by fucking Halliday that it's really fucked up, that they've just kind of given up on the world and they're like working to save this virtual one really fucking hard, but not even working to save the real world as hard, and just realizing that like the connections that they have in real life, I'm not saying you can't make good friends in games online at all, but just like recognizing that it's important to cultivate your real life connections and relationships too. And it's just, it would have been nice to see something like that and just realizing like actually how fucking sad the existence of the Oasis is. Yeah,
definitely. That's really nice. It's a good message, that.
Thanks.
I wish Steven Spielberg had fucking realized this.
Steven Spielberg does not care.
No.
I mean, the book was basically an ode to him.
Yeah, that's true. Well, yeah, mine, like I said, is sort of be more like the book, which is outrageous that I would say that, because the book is so shite. But be more like the book, less choppy, more coherent, and a better, well-rounded story by doing that. Mm-hmm. Just focus on the original texts, you know, #canon. So yeah, tell me then, bad director or bad film?
You know what I'm gonna say.
I know what you're
gonna
say.
Spielberg before. He's not a bad director. I just, like, he picked the wrong film to do at this time. Like we said, he need not have bothered.
Just save the however long it took to make this film.
Yeah, but if you're wondering what he directed more recently, because I'm wondering, like, maybe is he possibly like going downhill as a director?
Ooh.
Okay, Ready Player One, obviously. The Post, I haven't seen it, so I can't talk to it.
No.
Adventures of Tintin. Oh, he did Lincoln, War Horse, Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Okay.
He did War of the Worlds. So, yeah, I think he just backed the wrong movie, because the movie was pretty heavily catered towards him, or the book was heavily catered towards him and his work. He gave it a chance. It didn't work out so well.
No. I would have liked to see what Will Wheaton would have done this film. I know Will Wheaton's not a director.
Will Wheaton wouldn't have fucking touched it.
He's too clever for that.
Well, he would have seen how they treat the one female protagonist in the whole film and been like, oh, well.
Yeah, I guess not. Yeah, I think you might be right. I think Steven Spielberg is sort of losing his touch a little.
I don't know.
That's how I feel maybe about this. You know, I feel like, you know, War of the Worlds was okay. It wasn't great.
Yeah, most recently, like, as an executive producer, he's worked on Bumblebee, First Man, again, The Post. I haven't seen it, but I heard it was good. He did Transformers The Last Night as executive producer.
You see, it just seems like he's backing the wrong horses lately.
I mean, but he's doing so much stuff. It really seems like pure chance sometimes that he backs something wrong.
Do you think this film would have worked? Well, I have two questions for you. Let's start that way, right?
Okay.
I have two questions for you. One, do you hate this film more than AI, artificial intelligence?
Right.
And two, do you think this film would have worked better as like a Netflix series where they could have gone deeper?
I don't know. This is so different from AI, even though both are kind of looking at future technology. I think, though, that AI was a bit more of a sensitive look at, like, technology and human relationships and, like, how those two things intersect. Whereas Ready Player One really didn't give a fuck about human relationships. And it was just like, oh, and here's King Kong. Which is fine. But I guess, like, I'd probably enjoyed AI. Ready Player One was visually much more entertaining, but AI conceptually was a lot better done. There we go.
We finally had something nice to say about AI.
Yes, I do think that this would have done better as a Netflix series.
Yeah.
But I also would have hated it.
Yeah, definitely.
The source material is just
It's too bad.
Horrific.
No matter what you did with it, there's only so much you could do to polish a turd.
I am truly... I wouldn't go so far as to say that I'm, like, Ernest Cline's worst fan, but I'm down there. I really cannot stand him or his writing.
No.
Or his poetry.
Oh man, we've got to post that poem. We've got to link up to that poem.
Yeah, we'll post a link to it down below.
Fucking hell.
It truly does read like a man who does not understand how women work.
He clearly doesn't.
And, as if Ready Player One wasn't enough evidence of that on its own.
Yeah, you've actually got poetry from this guy, so
Jesus.
Be ready for that. It's beautiful.
We'll link to that in the footnotes.
Haunting poetry.
Don't read it if you don't want to feel rage today.
Well done, Simone. That's amazing
Thanks.
work. Do such a shitty film, and to make it coherent, you really did your best, and I'm proud of you for that. Well done. So, in our final segment, which is what does Chad think of the podcast, and what is Simone excited for? Tell us, what are you excited for?
So I'm really excited for the documentary Fyre, F-Y-R-E. It is about the failed Fyre festival that happened a couple years ago, where a bunch of people bought really expensive tickets to go to this music festival on an island, and it was complete failure. I love a bit of Schadenfreude, and I think this is what it's going to be. I'm so excited.
I remember when the story broke, and just how fucking outrageous and absurd it sounded. It sounded like it was from a film. It sounded like it was from 30 Rock. It sounds like something Jack Donaghy or Tracy Jordan would do.
It sounds like a fucking Seth Rogen movie.
Yeah.
Where, like, a bunch of dudes are like, oh, we're gonna make the best music festival ever. Jay-Z's involved. And then, like, it all goes to shit.
Yeah, for real. Isn't it essentially the plot of Bill and Ted when they make Woodstock? And then but this is the opposite of that film, where it just completely fucking failed.
Yeah.
Like, this is gonna be superb. I'm so excited.
I'm so excited.
It looks
I'm
really
really keen.
Yeah.
What are you not excited for? What do you think we're going to be talking about on this podcast?
I think we're going to be talking about the new Netflix film, which will be coming out pretty soon, called I.O. So basically, just to give you a very brief plot summary, and we'll link to both trailers for Fyre and I.O. down in the description box. But I.O. basically, the world has gone to shit, which I feel is most movies now for some reason. And the world has gone to shit. Pollution has killed us all, so we've gone to move to the moon on Jupiter, which moon rotating around Jupiter, which is called Io. Mm-hmm. And it's about one survivor who's stuck on Earth, who missed all the transports, and another survivor who seems like a hobo, I'm not too sure. And they find each other, and they go to find the final ever ship that will be leaving planet Earth to go to Io. And it's their journey through this dystopian world where the world is fucked, and they need to sort of master and navigate to get to this final ship. It looks terrible. I think it's going to be terrible. Dystopian future films, like, are tired now. We've done them. Yeah. Can we just put them to bed?
Especially space ones.
Yeah.
We've seen Gravity. We did The Martian.
Elysium. Chappie. Like, it's time now. It's let's put them to bed, shall we? So I think I.O. is going to be awful. I think it's going to do so badly. I'm not going to watch it. Well, I will because of this podcast, but
I'll read the reviews first.
So yeah, I.O. and Fyre, which is going to be so good. I'm so excited. Yeah.
Yeah.
Woo. So we did it yet again, Simone.
Woo. Once more.
Once more. Huzzah! Cambridge rules. So, shall we tell the people what we're doing next week?
Let's do it. So next week, embracing the feeling of nostalgia, I will be doing the Lizzie McGuire movie.
Ah, so excited.
I could not be more thrilled. I'm ready to have the song stuck in my head.
It's a great time to be alive. So, yes, I'm about this film.
Okay, what are you doing?
Sleepy baby. I will be doing the 2009 Fanboy film, which very much like High Strung sort of got swept under the radar, but it's in fact just a terrible film as well.
My understanding is also that Ernest Cline, the writer of Ready Player One, was involved in writing the script for this, so that should be fun.
Beautiful. Yes. Let us just rip apart Ernest Cline's career, shall we? And just, because he deserves it. We shouldn't be, very much like what I said about, Wolf of Wall Street, we shouldn't be celebrating these guys.
Oh yeah, fuck that guy.
Anymore. So fuck white guys who are like this.
Yes.
Done with these guys.
Yes.
Done with them.
Don't need your incel
Right, so-
fool anymore.
No, we do not. So, Simone, how are you? How's your week been?
I'm good. It was my first week back at work. Was a
Woo.
rude awakening. Forgot some very basic aspects of my job, which was embarrassing, but I'm back.
Yeah. Back in the swing of things.
Hell yeah.
Oh yeah, girl.
You know. And how was your week?
Yeah, my week's been pretty good. First proper week back on the road. It's been good fun. I got sick on the weekend, so yesterday, we're recording this on a Sunday, and yesterday I spent the whole day in bed because I've just been, like, coughing my lungs up, and I was able to watch all of The Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, which made me very, very happy.
Yes.
What a show. What a great show.
What a great thing to watch when you're sick.
I know. It just made me happy. I thought, all I could think was, laughter is the best medicine. And what will make me happier than something that Tina Fey has done? And
True.
Yeah, it really helped. I'm still sick, but I'm less sick than I was yesterday.
I watched 8th Grade, written and directed by Bo Burnham.
Oh.
I highly recommend it. It is upsetting because it is so accurate to being an 8th grader, like just the amount of horrible and awkward you feel constantly.
Beautiful.
It's super well written, super well directed. Like, I've been a huge Bo Burnham fan for like the longest time.
Yeah.
And I'm really, really just well chuffed for him.
Is it on Netflix as well?
No.
Okay. 8th Grade.
8th Grade.
I shall
highly
find it and
recommend.
I shall watch it. Brilliant. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you all for listening. We really appreciate you guys coming back week after week. And, like, subscribe, give us comments on iTunes and other sort of areas. It really, really helps us get out the message out there that, we deserve more positivity. And by you writing us good or bad comments, by you giving us 1 or 5 stars, we can really help share that message. So just, go onto iTunes. Even if you listen to this on a different podcasting app, go onto iTunes. Just hit the 5 stars button. Everyone has iTunes.
Give us a review.
Give us a review.
Tell us what you think.
Yeah. Tell us what your movies you would like us to see. So, yeah, we'd really appreciate it. So, like, subscribe, review, all that type of shite. Simone, where can the people find you?
The people can find me on Instagram at simone.ellie.raux, and they can read my stuff on Fortune Flynn. Where can they find you?
They can find me on Instagram as well as Twitter. So they can find me there on Chatsby1993. So that's CHADSBY 1993. You can also write us in an email at itsnotthatbadpodcast@gmail.com.
Oh yeah, and of course you can follow us on all the social media at It's Not That Bad 1 on Facebook and Twitter, and at It's Not That Bad Podcast on Instagram.
Exactly. So, there's places to find us, and tell us your thoughts, because we love to hear what you have to think about the things that we say. And, as we say at the end of every episode,
we love you and there's nothing you can do about it.
Bye!